Okay, so welcome to, is it part 2 or part 3? I think this is part 3 because I did a mini introduction video to this one. Just basically follow on from knife safety. We've gone through how to insert the knife into the sheath, which is the dangerous end, which is the safe end, and different methods, or different size knives in bushcraft and survival and whatever. But the principle remains the same. Always think about your fingers, which way the blade's going. Always look down at your sheath before you insert it or withdraw it. Leave it out here. So I've gone through that, and again I'm going to try and do this as short as I can. I'm still worried about my battery. Okay, so I've got just a stick that I've picked up. Now before you do any bushcraft project, another safety tip is make sure that the wood is not rotten all the way through the core, because the worst thing that can happen is you're doing a bit of bushcraft and the wood snaps or breaks, and suddenly you've slashed into your finger because it's broke. Okay, so always test the wood, see if it's going to crack, break or whatever before you actually do any bushcraft. Now although this is dry wood, I'm confident that this will stand up to the task that I want to demonstrate to you. Okay, so I'm going to do with the knife I started with, which is this one. Move my chair a bit closer to the video. Lots of things today. Now, okay, so I'm here now. Okay, so let's start with this knife. Put that down on the floor. Stick it down on the floor. I want to show you, which is taught in many courses these days, which is called like the danger triangle. And if you're not too sure what that is, it's if I'm sat down like I am today, like I am now, you've got this bit, which is in the shape, if you look down, it's in the shape of a triangle. It's like this is your danger zone. Okay, so you've got your crotch area and you've got your inner thigh areas here. Okay, now especially in between your thighs here, got all some lovely nice squidgy bits there with very, very, very dense muscle, because everybody knows the most of your muscle is on the outer thigh, not the inner thigh. Okay, it's got good strong muscles on your thighs on the outer thigh, but hardly any for protection, that offers protection on these bits here. Okay, now we have got some major arteries in your inner thigh as well. So if accidents do happen, and let's say you've not told anybody where you're going, you're in the middle of nowhere, maybe you've even forgot your first aid kit, maybe you haven't received any first aid training or not too sure what to do regarding stab wounds and deep slashes, etc. Okay, now if you don't take safety of knives seriously, and you happen to slash or stab into your inner thigh area and you hit or even nick one of those arteries, you're in a world of trouble. Okay, now depending on the extent of the damage, you can actually bleed out in minutes and then you'll be dead. There's no shortcuts or anything like that. You will be dead. Okay, and this is why I'm making a video on knife safety. Originally I wasn't actually going to do one. I was just going to jump to how to sharpen a knife, different grinds, blah 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 blah. But I thought before I do all that, I'm going to bring at the beginning the health and safety aspects of it. Obviously only basic health and safety, if you like. So yeah, this is what we call a danger triangle, and we've got a bushcraft knife. We're using a bushcraft knife. We don't want to be anywhere near here. So you've got your groin, got your inner thigh there. Okay, as we know, we've got arteries everywhere, all over the body, and we've got major ones in both left leg and right leg. And like I said before, if we nick or stab one of those, you can bleed out in minutes and you will die. So I'd say when I'm doing bushcraft, I'd probably say I'd say probably 90% of the carving that I'll do is probably standing up, and that's because that's what I'm most comfortable with. Now, unless I'm whittling a spoon, then obviously I'm going to be sitting down. But you need to take safety in consideration if you do sitting down like I am now. Okay, so you've got a very sharp blade there, and obviously you don't want to have accidents or slip or anything like that, and then have an accident and bleed out. So this is why I'm going to bring this danger triangle in. Okay, so again, when you've seen the previous video on how to withdraw the sheath, okay, so if we're working on a piece of wood and you do need to sit down, okay, now this knife needs to be nowhere near your inner thighs, your groin area, even your belly, okay, nowhere near it. Okay, so in the bushcraft community, in what we do, especially when we're making things, we do what's called like a push cuts and things like that. Now, I've seen people do it right up here and things like that, but for me, no. Keep your knife stable, which is what I do, as much as I can. If you need to be even more stable and you need to sit down from doing your cuts, keep your arms, your elbows situated on here. Right, now your elbows should not move, especially when you're doing push cuts. Okay, so the only thing that's moving is the blade and your thumb. Okay, so if you miss like this, it's not going to slip very far. Okay, in fact, the worst that can happen, if that knife flies out your hand now, it's going to go in that direction. And just make sure that nobody's obviously sitting in front of you when you're doing it, which is another top tip. Make sure that nobody is around with you, especially close to you. You know, always say what we used to say is 2 arms and 2 tool lengths, depending on the how big the tool obviously that you're using is. So, you know, keep your distance. Even when you're talking, keep your distance. Make sure nobody's at the side of you, or say at least within a metre in front of you. You know, keep your distance. That's more important, because accidents do happen, even to professionals. And if this knife does fly out your hand, it's not going to obviously hurt you. It's not going to hurt anybody that's in front of you or at the side of you. Okay. Now then, so sometimes I do this quite a lot. So if we're doing your push cuts, which is obviously you put the knife down there and you're pushing with your thumb. That's all you're doing. Okay, so your thumb is pushing on the spine of the blade. Okay, so it's not pushing, it's out of the danger zone, you're not inside the danger triangle, the edge is well away from you, even the thumb. So even if you slip, you know, it's nowhere near your thumb, nowhere near your fingers, and you've got a good secure hold of your knife. Okay, and say if you're making a tent peg, etc. Okay, if you need to sit down, you need to process wood and take debark something, again, make sure it's not here. Okay, it doesn't need to be here, because again, if you slip like that, right, you're catching the inside of your leg. So you don't want to be doing anywhere near here. You don't want to be resting this on your knee here. Again, you slip, where's that knife going to go? It's going to go straight into your leg. Okay, so if you do need to sit down, okay, support on your knees, and if you need to debark, just do it nice and gently. Okay, so nobody's in front of you, anything like this. And this is why your bushcraft knife needs to be razor sharp, which I'll go into in a minute. Okay, now in no time at all I've debarked the end of this stick, you know, with minimal effort. So because I'm using a sharp knife, if this knife wasn't sharp, you'd be going, you know, digging into it and you're trying to force it, and that's how accidents happen. Okay, and this is why your bushcraft knife needs to be hair popping sharp. Okay, so never work with a blunt tool. Now if you're using heavy duty chopping tools, that's different, which again in the later videos I will explain to you the difference. But for your main wood carving tools, which is this one, it needs to be razor sharp. you know, so sharp you can shave your face with it, which I don't obviously recommend. Okay, now normally the people who say it doesn't need to be shaving sharp is normally the same people that actually don't know how to do it or how to get it there, you know. So again, it needs to be hair shaving sharp. It does, you know, there's no if, buts or maybe. Okay, a blunt bushcraft knife is a dangerous knife. Okay, so this is your main knife, it needs to be extremely sharp. Okay, so again, minimal effort. You can see the position. Okay, so here's the danger triangle with all your nasty fleshy bits and your arteries, etc. Now look how far away I am. It's hard to tell. Okay, so if you're slipping, got absolutely no chance at all of hitting any fleshy bits there. That's if you're sitting down. Now there is a cut called a chest lever, which requires you, it's quite a powerful cut in the world of bushcraft. I use it, in fact it's probably one of my favourite cuts, especially if you're trying to get awkward knots out of your stick or whatever you're using to carve with, and it can move materials very, very quickly. But the chest lever I mostly do standing up. Okay, again, 9 times out of 10. If I'm sitting down and you're doing a chest lever cut, okay, make sure you're on stable ground. If you're sitting on a seat, make sure it's absolutely stable. Okay, now again, you don't want to be down here because your chest is not down here. Because if you imagine, if you slip down here, where's your knife going to go? It's going to go straight into your thigh. Okay, so your chest lever, it's called chest lever for a reason, because it's where your chest is. Okay, and again, the point of the blade is pointing away from you, the edge is pointing away from you. Okay, so you're not down here, you're not even midsection like this. Okay, your chest is what your chest is. Your chest is here. Okay, now the way we grip it is make sure your hands aren't sweaty. Now if you need to wear gloves, then wear gloves on your non-working hand. I don't tend to wear gloves because I feel like I'm in complete control of my blade. I like to feel what I'm doing. Okay, so chest lever cuts. Okay, so you have a nice grip of the handle here, quite tight, but you're not too tight to get your circulation off, and your thumb goes there. Okay, right at the top. Now you can do an even more powerful chest lever cut, which is called the reverse. So you can actually put the knife there, like that, so your thumb is out the way. And then what you do then, like this, your chest is here, your elbows are in. Okay, so they're not flaring out here, like this, as much as you can, because you want as much control of this blade as you can. Okay, so if you're out here, you've got hardly any control whatsoever. Your knife's going to fly out, it's going to stab somebody or whatever. Okay, so you bring it here like this, and that's all you're doing. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. The knife is not moving. Okay, I'm moving the stick. So again, I've seen many people go, ugh, ugh, you know, like that, but no, you want to do it in a controlled manner. So if you've got a lot of material to remove and you do need to do a chest lever cut, hold it nice and tight like this, bring it to your chest level like this, and you're only moving the stick. You're keeping this stationary. Okay, okay, and again, look how much material it's moved. Okay, now again, for a more controlled, if you haven't got too much material to move and you want to use the chest lever in the same way, okay, you can again grip it tight, your thumb goes there, well away from the edge. Okay, and you do exactly the same way. Okay, so there's two ways of doing it. Okay, so look at my position. Okay, okay, that's my position. Again, look how much material is coming off. Okay, so again, it's not down here where my fat belly is. Okay, it's not mid section, because you're still in danger of slipping with the knife and stabbing it in the leg. Okay, so the chest lever, if you need to sit down, okay, needs to be up here, controlled manner up here, and you're moving the stick. Okay, you're moving the stick. Okay, not the knife, and you're not moving both of them like this. You know, that's how accidents happen. So nice controlled manner. It needs to be controlled. Okay, so that's another tip for you if you want to do a chest lever. And a little discussion on obviously the danger triangle with all the nice fleshy bits and arteries poking out everywhere. And remember, because I can't stress this enough, always tell somebody where you're going. Doesn't matter who it is, it's a relative that you're staying with, a husband, a wife, you tell them where you are all the time. Okay, and I do advise this very strongly as well. Make sure you do have basic, even if it's basic, first aid training. Always take a first aid kit with you, always, without fail. I mean, my first aid kit goes everywhere with me. Even when I'm hiking, right, I will take a first aid kit with me. I'm bushcrafting, I will take a first aid kit with me. Okay, wild camping is exactly the same. Always take a first aid kit with you and know how to use it. Know where everything is in the first aid kit. If you're in with a party, but a party of say 3 people camping with you, make sure they know where it is so they can quickly access it. And if you have got a first aid kit, make sure it's quick accessible. So I put mine, always put mine on a pouch, which is on the outside. So it's not inside my bag, because I don't want to be, if there is an emergency and you have to have a deep slice, I don't want to be faffing about and opening the bag, getting everything out. If a first aid kit is down there, you're going to get blood everywhere. You know, there's a chance that you might bleed out, or maybe if you're scared of blood, the sight of blood, you might even pass out before you even get to the first aid kit. You know, so always make sure that your first aid kit is accessible. So that's obviously going to tie that in with bushcraft knife safety as well. Okay, so again, when we've putting the knife away in the sheath, you look exactly where you're putting that knife. Okay, so you're not talking to somebody over there, hello Fred, how are you doing? Oh, you know, you stab somebody there. Okay, so look where the knife is going, insert the knife and then push it, or keep your fingers away from that bit so it's not going through the welt. Okay, so it's coming up to 20 minutes now, well 18 minutes rather, if my remote works again. Okay, so I'm probably going to do another video after this on different cuts as well, what to do when you're standing up, etc. Okay, so that'll be probably part 4, I think it is. So I'm going to have a quick break, have something to eat, and then do part 4 of this nice knife health and safety series. So thanks for watching, and look up for part 4 coming up in a bit. Thank you, bye bye.